Have you got a PC build that you think might have a bottleneck? Or are you worried about avoiding a bottleneck in your next system? Well, if so, you've come to the right place, because in this video, I'm going to be covering off what a bottleneck actually is, how it comes about, and crucially, how to avoid it. Is your CPU or GPU causing a problem? Just how much RAM do you need in 2022? And does it matter if I cheap out on a lower end SSD? I'm going to be answering all of that and more in this video, and also showing you how to diagnose an existing system to see if a bottleneck exists, and what you can do to get rid of it, and importantly unlock that extra performance. Let's do this after a quick ad from today's video sponsor. The Cooler Master CK721 is the latest 65% keyboard on the block, featuring mechanical switches, customizable RGB backlighting, and a portable design. With hybrid wireless tech, you can choose between USB-C, 2.4 GHz, or Bluetooth. Plus, with a removable aluminium top plate, great for modding, a 3-way rotary encoder, and space grey and silver white colorways available, there's plenty to choose from. Learn more at the first links in the description below. When it comes to building a new PC and selecting the right parts, avoiding components that bottleneck is perhaps the most important but tricky part of the process. So let's start there and look at how to find bottlenecks in existing systems in a couple of minutes' time. First of all though, what is a bottleneck? Well, it's when one part of your system, when one or two components, are too slow for the rest of your build, and slow those other components down, giving you less performance. Let's take an obvious example. You're using just 4 GB of memory in a PC build, something you should definitely not be doing in 2022. But your game recommends 8 or 16 GB. You play with just 4 gigs and it's going to fill that memory up nice and quickly, and then has no RAM left over to use. Suddenly the RAM becomes the constraining factor, and your CPU, GPU, all those components have to slow down because they're waiting for the RAM or the memory. The most common place for a bottleneck to occur though is actually in your GPU or your CPU. Now in any system you're going to have a constraining factor. You're going to have something that's running at 100% performance and stopping you getting any more frame rate. Otherwise the performance of your build would basically be unlimited if nothing was holding anything else back. But it's your GPU you want to be running at 100% usage or thereabouts in order to get the best frame rate. Having a card run at just 70% because your CPU is too slow is a recipe for frame rate disaster. To make this easy, we've got one easy rule to follow. If you're running an RTX 3050, a Core i3 will be fine. Anything above a 3050, aka a 3060, right through to a 3070, you want to go for an i5 or Ryzen 5 chip. If you're running a 3070 Ti or above, you'll want an i7 or Ryzen 7, and then if you're running a 3090, 90 Ti or AMD 6900 XT, you'll want an i9 or a Ryzen 9. Basically, the higher end your GPU, the better your CPU needs to be. If you're into video editing or productivity oriented tasks, you can always increase the performance of your CPU to make sure you're supplying those workloads with the right hardware. But believe it or not, the CPU and GPU are by no means the only place a bottleneck can exist. Say that your case is not that great on airflow. It's got a glass panel that looks great, but your CPU starts to run really hot. If you're opting for a stock cooler, aka the small free included cooler that you get with many CPUs nowadays, that could be forcing your CPU to slow down and could in of itself be a bottleneck. Just because you've followed our handy guide and got the right CPU for your GPU doesn't mean your CPU can't be a constraining factor. And that's because the CPU works together with the cooler and your RAM in order to get the best performance. And RAM is the next area you can see a bottleneck occur in. The best way to spot a bottleneck in your memory is to open up Task Manager, go through the options menu and click Stay on Top. Now in your games, Task Manager will actually stay above your games. Double click your memory graph and it will dissolve down into a minimized window that you can pop in the corner and keep an eye on. If you're seeing your memory usage is commonly filling up, aka you've got 8 gigs of RAM and the whole 7.9 gigabytes is being used, or vice versa with your CPU, the usage there is crammed at 100%, you know that is a bottleneck. That is what's preventing your GPU from hitting the all-important 100% utilization. One common way to spot a lack of memory or not enough memory is actually also to look at your Windows C drive. Now James, what on earth has a hard drive or an SSD that my Windows is installed on got to do with my RAM? Well, when you run out of memory, if there was no other option, your system would simply crash. Much like myself, if I couldn't remember anything, you just crash. You don't know what to do. You've got no data to provide. So what your PC does when you run out of RAM is it starts to use your storage as memory. A DIMM of RAM and an M.2 SSD are vaguely the same technology. It just so happens that your RAM has less storage, but it's much quicker. That then creates what you call virtual memory. It segments off 10 gigabytes of space on your hard drive or SSD, and adds in another pool of RAM or memory. That's why opening 150 Chrome tabs while you're gaming can be a catastrophic decision for your frame rate, because it's filled up your memory with 7 gigabytes of Chrome tabs and there's only 4 gig left for your game, meaning either it moves the Chrome tabs over to your SSD or hard drive, or it moves your game over, and you do not want that to happen. One of the easiest ways to resolve this bottleneck is adding in more memory, and when you go to pick your next build, make sure you're not populating all of the slots on the board. AKA you've got 4 slots and you want 16 gigs of RAM. Go for 2 8GB DIMMs in the first and third slots and save your second and fourth slots for more RAM later if you need it. Remember, the higher end the GPU, the more memory you need. As a general rule of thumb, you want at least 16 gigabytes of RAM for anything up to a 3060 Ti, but a 3070 or above, you want 32 gigabytes. Currently, 64 gigs is not really required for gaming, but if you're going for a 3090 or 90 Ti, it's definitely worth considering. Another bottleneck in your system, but one you can't really see, is the airflow of your case. We talked about the cooling solution of your CPU just a moment ago, but if your case is running very hot, your hardware hasn't got enough airflow, that in of itself can become a bottleneck. It's the same reason that the likes of GeekaWhat will sell 5 different RTX 3080s, one with a lower end cooler and one with a ridiculously high end cooler. You get to a point where you find a good middle ground. The middle GPU of the stack is probably the best option, because it's got a beefed up cooler that keeps the GPU nice and cool, and allows for overclocking, but you're not paying a price premium for aesthetics or for a silent cooling design, something you'll gain on those higher end cards. But this cooling can apply to all the components in your build. If the VRMs, which provide power delivery to your processor on the motherboard, are running too hot, you'll get less overclocking headroom. If your SSD is running too hot, something commonly seen with Gen 4 SSDs, it will once again have to slow down, creating a bottleneck. Airflow in a case is a really easy way to unlock extra performance, and even if your hardware isn't actually slowing down, so to speak, it might not also be speeding up to its maximum speeds. A GPU and a CPU have a boost clock speed. That boost clock speed can only be achieved if the GPU and CPU are running at a good temperature. This is commonly why a higher end cooler will give your CPU more performance, even if the airflow in your case is alright, because a $70, $80 cooler is way better than the included stock cooler. Another area of bottlenecking in your system could be your storage. For the latest GPUs, an RTX 3070, 3080 or above, you'll want to go for Gen 4 NVMe storage, like the Seagate FireCuda 530 or WD Black SN850. Those drives provide read and write speeds between 5 and 7 gigabytes per second, much better than the 500 megabytes per second you'll find with this older Barracuda Q1 drive. This is good for a GTX 1660, but to be honest with you, not anything all that much better. As a general rule of thumb for storage, SATA storage, like this Seagate Q1, is good for anything up to a 3050. Gen 3 NVMe storage, like this XPG Spectrix S20G or other alternatives, and we'll link lots of example hardware below for you to feast your eyes on, is good for a 3060 through to a 3070. And the same with AMD, we'll pop the equivalent Team Red cards on your screen now. And then for anything higher end, you'll want Gen 4 NVMe storage. The best way to check, without all the technical terminology, is to Google the SSD you want and check the speed test. Anything up to 700 megabytes a second read and write is good for a 3050. 3060 and above, you'll want 2 to 3 gigabytes a second, and a 3070 above, you'll want 5 gigabytes a second or more read and write speeds. But is that it? Are there any other components that can cause a bottleneck? Sort of. The power supply is one of those components that's either on or it's off, quite literally. If your power supply doesn't have enough wattage, you're going to see a bottleneck. Your components are not clever enough to slow down, use less power, and look after the power supply. You'll simply see a system crash, which is why if you try and run a 3060 Ti on a 450 watt power supply, the build eventually is just going to crash and your PC is going to turn off. And that can be potentially quite dangerous for your hardware, especially if it happens regularly. But just how do you go about checking a bottleneck in a current system, or your new build that you've put together, thinking it looks to be spec'd quite well? First off, we're going to download MSI Afterburner's Reaver Tuner. and enable the GPU and CPU overlay. Here you want to make sure the CPU is reaching the clock speeds that you think it can deliver, and you want to make sure the utilization of your GPU is nice and high. As I say, one component is always going to limit your performance, and the GPU is the one you want to be doing that. You want to build your system around the graphics card and make sure it's got plenty of resource available to get the maximum potential. Check that your GPU is reaching high utilization, and if it's not, double check the CPU first, then followed by the memory. It's unlikely that the storage will be causing a problem if you've used our handy guide of rules. If it is, you're probably going to know about it already. And your power supply, once again, if that's the problem, definitely get that sorted as soon as possible. Check your temperatures as well of your GPU and CPU. You don't want to be above 85, 90 Celsius. If you are, it's likely thermal throttling is occurring. And if not thermal throttling, you are losing out on some free boost performance. Now, obviously this also depends on the games you're playing. Some games are more CPU demanding than others, and you can't buy a Core i9 for a 3060 in anticipation of the one title that prefers your CPU more. Cities Skylines, one of my favourite games, is a great example. It loves the CPU, but you can't buy the world's best CPU just for Cities Skylines. You're always going to have a bottleneck somewhere. It's about trying to minimise and limit that bottleneck to get the best possible performance. In summary, make sure you follow our key rules for the best CPU and GPU combos, storage requirements for your system, and get the right wattage power supply. 16 gigs of memory in 2022 is the bare minimum, and 32 gigs is good for a 3070 or above. We'll write out all of our key rules over on our website, and you can learn more at the links below. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, make sure to get subscribed. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.